welcome to the 8th devlog for my game Project Elysian. If you are just tuning in for the first time, my name is Jonathan Haile. I am a game design student, wrapping up my degree here in May for college. There's a lot to get into here in the beginning, so without further ado, I'm just gonna go on right to it. So, since last time I started making the arcane shard spell, or last time I was making it, but all I really had was the ability to spawn in a decal. Um, so since then, I'm just gonna kind of walk through the steps of me building the spell, and then I'll show it to you here at the end. Um, go into my ability systems here. Abilities, arcane shards. We have a point collection. So the first thing that the spell does is bring in this point collection, which what this is just a bunch of little points, hence the name. Report here that I have kind of laid about. And each one of these points spawn in a Niagara effect, which is in this case a like magic shard. That it's like a little like you'll see, but it's like a shard spike that comes up from the ground. So these are just all little points they can spawn around, and I have some variables in there to randomize it, like rotation and placement, so it's not just this exact thing every time. It's just kind of like within this radius and within this spacing. It's kind of hard to explain, but largely speaking, it's going to look like that when I bring it in here. So that was the first step in making this spell. And then I created some new gameplay tags and a new gameplay queue, which is in my gameplay queue notifies here. This is a gameplay queue that's a burst, actually. And so when I activate the spell, it calls on that gameplay queue. And then like on the burst here, actually let's go to class defaults here. So the cool thing about bursts is it has all these like little effects I can call in. So let me make this a little bit bigger. I don't know if that's helping, and I think my face might be covering up a bit of it. But I have the burst particles, which I set to be the arcane shards, which I can just show you the effect here now. I'm not sure if I showed this in the last video, but that's kind of what it's doing, and I can add some variability to it by disabling and enabling certain parts of the Niagara effect. I can actually change the color if that's something I want to do, but for right now, I like how it looks. It's pretty nifty. And then it also plays that sound. So there's that. And I should actually probably just show you like what's actually going on in the ability itself, instead of just talking about all the little bits and pieces. So gameplay ability arcane shards here. This is where all the meat and potatoes are. Everything's happening. I can just quickly run through what's going on here. So first of all, it's checking the ability cost, creating the mana and cooldown stuff, which is the same for every spell. I can quickly show you that. It's not exciting, but arcane shards cost, spell cost, arcane shards, which actually is a new thing. I'm sorry, this is all over the place, but just kind of this is what happens when I don't make a video for a while. I just do it a lot, and there's a lot of little steps, but real fast, I'll show you that I made a new curve table for the cost and cooldowns, or not the cooldowns, the cost. It used to be hard set values, but then I turned it to a curve table. I think it's a little bit better. Beforehand, it was just like I had pre-written values that was always the same, or curve table is always the same, but it's just I can get a little bit more nitty gritty with the numbers and adjust it more easily. Like if I want to, I can just like adjust the curve just a little bit. Just makes tweaking easier. So, anyways, what was I talking about? The cost and cooldown. That's what I was talking about. So yeah, arcane shards cost. Have that set, and then the cooldown here. Created the cooldown effects, all that. So there's that. We don't need this gameplay queue open anymore. Just gonna eat up space. Point of collection, we can shut that as well. Okay. No, we can also shut that. I think I closed the thing I actually wanted to talk about. Good job. Good job, me. Okay, so checking the ability cost. We're branching here, showing that magic circle, or talk about that. That's the decal. Waiting for input price, getting the target under data mouse, or under mouse data. spawn collection of points and get ground points here. So it's calling that point collection on my mouse hit location. Um, it's getting the max number of shards. That these are all things I've set here in the detail panel. So right now, it's 11. That's the max number. As you upgrade it, that's going to be the max you can get to. I can always change it, but right now it's 11. There's that. Gets the ground points, taking that number of shards, all of that. We update the facing target. It has to do with my montage, which I also created. I can quickly browse to that here. Just a different summoning spell, or messing up my words here. Too bad I'm not cutting this. Just a new summoning spell for that, because the electrocution of firebolt kind of just have the same thing. You just cast it from your thing, but with this, it called for a new one. So she just kind of lifts up her wand or staff, does that. So facing the target, playing the montage and waiting, start a timer, spawn the first shard here. That's when you're committing the ability cost. This where the cooldown kicks in. It's like registering, okay, you used mana, now we're on a cooldown. Spawn shard, have a branch here. If you can't, clear and validate timer, commit the cooldown and ability. True, store shard spawn location, store damage to players. We have a 4 each loop here. And then radial damage, which is a new thing. So with the radial damage, it kind of lets me have the closer the target is to the spawn point of the shard, the more damage is done, and the farther away, the less damage is done, which required a lot of fun C++ work, which you can see here. And I don't know what those errors are, but a lot of just going in these. This is me updating the spell descriptions. We don't know that, but yeah, a lot of just overhauling the damage gameplay ability, system libraries, combat interface, just a whole lot of work in there. But basically now I just have radial damage, which is pretty cool. Let's go back into Unreal Engine here. So yeah, it gets that radial damage, execute gameplay queue with parameters of owner, all of that. Let me see here. I also have some functions here. So the radial damage function, applying the damage effects. This is just how you apply the radial damage, and the storing the shards here. Okay. So there's that. Let me go back to my abilities here. Alright. Go to class settings here, or class defaults. I could show you here with like the debug circles, but I think just showing the spell will be better. So in the bottom right corner here where my mouse is over, this is like how I can set how big I want the radial damage inner radius to be and the outer radius to be. Right now I have at 50 for inner, outer for 200. There's that. No debuff chance on this spell. Have a new damage type for it. Damage.arcane. Same thing in the curve table here, CT damage. Not much has changed there. It's just the same as everything else. All the other spells that I've talked about. So like I said, no debuff. But the thing is, there's no debuff on this spell, but there's always going to be a knockback. And I actually went in and I changed some things with my Death Impulse Magnitude and knockback, because when I was spawning the crystals, it was just kind of making the character go up, like just without any sort of like proper rotation that made sense, or sending them in the proper direction makes sense. But now, whichever way I spawn the crystal, what am I trying to say here? They will correctly fly back from wherever I spawn the crystal from. That's what I'm trying to say here. So I can set the direction of knockback now. That's a thing I can adjust. When it's really, I only really need it for this spell, because the rest of the spells, like the firebolt spell, it's always just going to be, it's going to take in the momentum of that firebolt spell and do the knockback accordingly. But for this, since it was like an upward thing, I didn't just want the enemies flying up in the air and not coming back. I wanted to kind of be like a flying outward effect. So I did that. Obviously, checking is radial damage. We're talking about this. Setting the damage effect class, cooldown class, all of that. I created new collision channels to in the last video you might have saw when I was kind of like hovering the decal over enemies. It would do like this weird snapping to it, which I didn't like. So I created a new collision channel so it doesn't do that snapping anymore. And I also disabled the targeting on the or the not the targeting, the highlights ability, or not. It's not ability, but the so normal spells like right here. We actually just execute that, but you can see when I hover over an enemy, it highlights them red. I thought that would just kind of we didn't really need that for the arcane shard spell because you have that targeting circle, and I feel like the highlighting red would just be kind of redundant and like just too many effects at once. So I removed that as well. So there's that. Anyways, I've been rambling for too long, so let me actually show you what this spell is. So see right here, group of enemies, and we will just spawn it right in the middle of them. As you can see right there, kind of sends them flying back. It's only at level 1, but if I do cooldown, do it again, kill them. And so, like I said, the closer they are to the circle, the more damage is done. So let's say that you kind of get him on like the edge here. Okay, that wasn't close enough. Like right there. Okay, so 2 damage did him right there because he was on like the outer radius of it. And then if I go in and I put the spell directly on top of him, so should do a lot more damage, 9 damage. So that's just kind of that radial damage in play there. As I level it up, you see right here, it tells you what the level up will do, level 2 cost, all of that. Also, I updated the Elysian spell description, so there's all of that. Another little small thing, I renamed this spell Aura Protection. It was Halo Protection. I just figured since these two were all called Aura, I would go ahead and call that also Aura. So just better naming convention. My teacher pointed that out to me, so I made that quick change. But anyways, so what I'm trying to show here, upgrade it. You can see now I will summon 2 shards. Upgrade it again, 3 shards. Upgrade it again, 4 shards. So we'll see that in action here. We won't target any enemies, but see how it now kind of all pops up like that. Takes more mana. Yeah, so that was the first little long section of this devlog. Hopefully you enjoyed me just walking through the systems of this. I'm gonna get to work on another ability, so the next update that you're gonna see here in like 3 seconds, if I just shut up, we'll be showing that off. See you then. Well, I was about to talk about something completely different when I started recording this, but I just realized that all the footage I recorded about a week ago talking about my new Fire Blast ability, which is the final spell type for this game, was all on mute. So I'm gonna have to go over that again here. So the Fire Blast ability is basically it's an area effect spell, not dissimilar to the crystal spell that I just made, but it's a different type of effect. So what you do is you spawn in a bunch of fireballs from around the player character, and they kind of go out, come back in, and explode. So just because I already talked about this, and I'm just going to try to keep it abbreviated, I'm not going to go over all the C++ stuff, but I did have to create a new actor type, a new fireball actor, because the fire ball that I was using for like just like the regular fire projectile that I've had in the game since like the very beginning functions very differently. This one kind of has to go in, come out. It's on a timeline. It's doing a different type of damage, different sort of homing capabilities. Just I tried to use that initial fireball that I had, but it was just too much work. It wasn't. I would have to completely rework it and break things. So I was like, I'll just new actor, and then obviously a new ability type for the Fire Blast. So if I go in here, ability systems, fire, So this is the Fire Blast. So this is the new Fireball um, actor I was talking about. What am I doing here? Event graph. So a lot going on. I'm storing the initial Apex location here. And then these are these two timelines, an outgoing timeline and a returning timeline. Pretty boring stuff. And so that sets the actual location, and then on a returning timeline, set the active location again. Whole lot of mathematicals. Have an on hit function here. As you can see, on hit. Set real damage effect params. Again here, in the ability system library, kind of using all these new systems that I created that I'm not going to go over right now. To save time, get the live players in radius. Over here, a lot of stuff going on in the Aura ability system library. Have a for each loop. I don't know if me showing you this is doing anything, probably not. It'd be better if I explained it, but I don't think anyone wants to listen to that, and I'm not that smart to be able to explain what I do. I can do things, but I just, when it comes to articulating it, that's a whole different ball game. Anyways, set target effect params, and then I have a way to calculate knockback direction, and these are all editable, so I can kind of change, and I can override things if I want to, just to give me more controls to knockback magnitude here. And then we're doing the death impulse direction, apply damage effect, because I had to do that because you'll see when I actually show you the spell, the way that it was flinging the characters, it was just weird. So I realized I had to set it here. Override that kind of just like, what's the word I'm using for, like more broad death pulse magnitude that I'm using for other spells. I have to kind of override here. So there's that. And then they explode, so we're in explode distance. We're getting the actor location, the return actor, vector length, explode, all that. And this, I'm overriding the knockback here. And then the actual gameplay ability is a little more simpler. A lot of the stuff is actually, it's not simpler. There's more things going on with the gameplay ability in C++, but most of the blueprint end stuff, like the stuff I can really show you, is happening with the Fireball. Committing the ability, spawning Fireball is the ending ability. See right here, spawn Fireballs. Then ending the ability. And then I'm also using gameplay cues. Obviously, I have the cost cooldown here. But if we go into gameplay cue notifiers, Fire Blast, so I have the explosion that's playing, and this is an on burst cue, and then the Fireball impact. It's the full blueprint editor here to actually give you a little. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's the same view. So yeah, setting that here, and I'm calling this on that Fire Blast ability. But anywho's, just to kind of show you, well, first of all, I'll have to XP here. Actually, I'm moving the star ability. Alright. Level 2. Here's that Fire Blast. You got the spell description also set. You can see there's a lot more going on in the spell tree, which is what I was about to talk about, but get this out of the way first. So, level 1 launches 12 fireballs in all directions, each coming back and exploding upon return, causing 15 radial fire damage with a chance to burn. And then the next level does more damage. Well, level 2 doesn't do much more damage. It still says 15. Like I said, I'm playing with the curves, but so, oops, probably should equip it, obviously. Unlock it and equip. Alright, we're equipped here. And let's show this in action. Cool. See some burning there. So it's kind of just get overwhelmed. You can just give yourself a little bit of breathing room. So, yeah. It was really fun to make. I'm proud of that spell. And now I'm actually going to start talking about what I initially wanted to talk about today. So now it's time to actually talk about the things I wanted to talk about today. There's a laundry list. I'm very happy to say that I got all my spells done now. I've essentially taken the 4 spell types that I've been making and reworked them into different ways. Because I have the 3 elements. I was like, okay, 3 elements, 4 spell types. I can make the rest of the skill tree more quickly now. So it just required a lot of like reworking, swapping things in and out. You'll see what I'm talking about. So first off, let's just kill these guys right here, get some XP. Alright, here we go. So, oops. You can see right here, we now have a full spell tree, which is super, super fun. We'll start off with the fire tornado. And I'm not going to go like in depth in how I made all these because there's just too much to go over. And like I said, it's the bones of different, you've already seen how I created other spells, and these are just using the bones of that, and just changing things to make something new. So the fire tornado is evolved from the crystal spell. And what it does here is it spawns a tornado of fire. So we have a red targeting circle this time. We'll just spawn that in. So basically it does fire damage. It doesn't move. That's as you can see right there, it just spawns a tornado, and as you level it up, you'll spawn more tornadoes. So here we go. I think it's a pretty cool little spell. I am gonna see about putting it on a timeline, just because get like a slight little rotation in there. I feel like that'd be pretty easy and make it look a lot better. But I'm just happy to have it in the game and doing something different. So the advantages, so like the shard spell is just like direct damage and knockback. So the arcane version of it, which like I'm repeating myself, like the crystals, they kind of trade off here. So that is just higher damage and does a lot of knockback. And the fire tornado is lower damage, no knockback, but it does have a chance to burn. So it's kind of the trade-off you're playing with there. So there's that. And then for the electrocution spell, we just have a lightning bolt, which comes derived from the firebolt. So you can kind of choose what type of, so like the bolts are kind of just your basic attacks, and I wanted to make sure I had the option for each element that just have a basic elemental attack. So this just kind of does what you'd expect it to do. The lightning bolt there hits. So the firebolt, obviously, it's doing the burn damage, and this is just kind of the same thing, except it's doing stun. So you're choosing if you want to do burn or stun. Oops. Watching myself there. Get stun. Get stun. Give me a stun. Come on, give me a stun. Okay, it doesn't want. Oh, there we go. We're stunned. It's a little wonky because of how big he is. I also added a 1 damage to stun. I usually had it at 0, but I said that's not satisfying. So when you do stun someone, you get 1 damage continuously while they're stunned. We'll have to see if I keep that in for balancing, but when I fire it, you can see that there's like a different sound effect. So there's a different fire off effect and a different traveling effect, and then a different explosion effect. So there, oh, wow. So there's that. The next spell we have here is the lightning blast, derived from the fire blast that I just went over. So we'll spend a point on that. And also with this one, upgrading it fires multiple off, just like the fireball spell. Send those flying into the ether. Alright, so lightning blast here, we'll equip that. And I think you can probably guess what this does. Again, just kind of reworking it, different sound effects coming in and out, and when they explode, they do stun damage instead of fire damage. That one's pretty self-explanatory. And then we have the arcane shard stuff here. So we have the arcane bolt, which is your basic bolt um, projectile, just like lightning bolt or fire bolt. Right here. See, so the arcane does higher knockback and higher damage because you don't get any debuffs, you don't get a stun or burn. It's raw damage basically. Um, there's that. There's a different traveling effects, and then a different cast. I don't know if you can hear it in the recording, but it's kind of a little whoop thing. I like the sound of that. It kind of sounds like it reminded me of like a Harry Potter, like kind of igniting the wand. That's why I kind of used it. I think it's looking pretty good. Travels and a little explosion, different explosion effects. All the explosion effects are just kind of me reworking the colors and the timelines and the particles on the base explosion effects that I'm using for fire stuff. But I think it works. Not to say that I won't change it in the future. This is all just kind of I don't want to say some of it's placeholder, some of it's not. This is a project that's going to keep on evolving, and just working on it for the long haul and um, tweaking things and just kind of having fun and experimenting. There's that. And then the last spell here is Arcane Energy. So this is being derived from the Electrocution spell. Ooh, there we go. Killed him. Finally. So I'm actually gonna restart here because I want to show you. Didn't expect him to die. Put him at 3 IL, but I guess I was hitting with a lot of spells. Get that unlocked again. There's that. The beam is looking pretty cool. It's like dark Sidious lightning almost. There's like black and purple mixed in there. It is with a slightly slower cast time than electric because it's a higher damage. Um, and just like with all the arcane stuff, it's not doing any debuffs, but it's higher damage. So the regular electrocution, lower damage, but you're getting the stun effect, and this is just you want straight damage. Um, and then the same functions, like if you upgrade it, and this is going to be a much higher level spell, so it's probably not going to show off very well here because these are all very low enemies, and this is a high damage spell, but it propagates to other actors just like the electrocution. It's the same. So there's that. And yeah, that's kind of just what I've been doing. It's really nice if I just unlock everything here, just to kind of see a full spell tree. It's really cool. And I have these all set to unlock at level 1, but with time I'll have to change things up and just decide like how I'm going to balance this. But they all have their own spell descriptions, all that. Spell descriptions were more complicated than I thought because initially I was creating child blueprints to create these different versions of the spells. Like I was creating a child blueprint of the firebolt, but the way I have spell descriptions, I just couldn't edit the descriptions in the child classes, and when I was trying to reparent things, it wasn't working. So I ended up just having to make whole new classes and just transferring all the logic over, which is fine. It worked. It's just a learning curve for me, and also kind of forced me to go back and like, okay, how did I do all this? Because like, yes, they're just copies, but I did have to completely remake them, and there's probably an easier way, but I didn't do that. I took the hard path, and you know what? I'm better for it. It was just good practice for me. So, yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to go over. So, full spell tree, all the spells in the game are done, at least the starting versions of all of them. I definitely want to work on them and just kind of evolve them and see how it goes. But at least the bones are there, and it feels super great just to see this fully fleshed out spell tree. So yeah. So I do think I'm going to start to wrap up this devlog here just because I'm going to do another video. It's kind of like a more of a showcase, focus, edited, just kind of showing like what I've been doing. But before I wrap up, I was I figured about time I'd do some tweaks on the player character. I'm not overly attached to this character model. I think I will probably end up swapping it out. But that being said, I did just want to kind of go in and make some changes to Elysia. Um, so it's kind of hard to tell with all the lighting here because like the changes are subtle. I didn't want to like overly do it. So I'm gonna go into the actual character itself and show you. So I was just kind of playing with materials. I don't want that. We should probably not. We should open up the regular mesh. That'd be a better thing to show you. So I just kind of darken the hair, have a slight like purple tint to it. Um, and then the eyes I changed. They were green. Again, made them purple. Just kind of keep along with the color scheme. Tweak the skin just a little bit. Made her a little tanner. And then darken the clothes. So really, I just kind of darkened things. That was all. I just got tired of looking at the same character model for so long. So just a few tweaks. I like how she looks better now, but we'll see. We'll change her. We'll evolve her. We'll probably swap her out completely. But so there's that. And then just before I wrap up here, I reduced the spell slots down to 4 instead of 5. I think I honestly might reduce it down further just so you have 3. But for right now, I think 4 is fine. Just in terms of balance, I think I don't want the player to have access to too many spells. I don't think they need it. I think it'd be more fun if they pick and choose, make decisions, like make the trade-offs in the spell tree. I think that'd be more entertaining, or more engaging, I should say. And then I deleted the big character portrait. I don't know, it just seemed unnecessary. It was just an eyesore. And I moved the level up down to the XP bar in the middle XP bar there. So yeah, nothing crazy, nothing substantial. I just kind of was tweaking some things. As you can see those changes reflected to the character model here in this video. Yeah, so that's really all I have for this devlog. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Feel like I made some real good progress over the past couple weeks, and we'll see what comes next.